My name is Zach Yaksich. I'm here representing Alana's foundation, which I'd like to tell you a little bit about. Before I get into that, I really, more importantly, I'm here to tell you about the story of Alana and how the flu tragically took her life away from us back in 2003 when she was only 5 years old. She woke up on a Saturday morning and expressed to her mother and I, she was only 5 at the time, and told her mother and I that she didn't want to go to her ballet class that day, which was kind of unusual because that's what's her favorite thing to do is go to dance. And so we took her temperature, and her temperature was only 99 degrees. It was low grade. There was nothing else wrong or visibly wrong. Um, her appetite was good. She went through actually as she went the rest of the day. Things her mood and her activities increased. She just seemed fine. She even felt well enough to um, go outside and decorate a snowman with her brother and I. So we didn't have any concerns throughout that entire day. At the end of the day, she had dinner like she normally does. She ate pizza. She played with her brothers, and we put her to bed. There was fever free. And after a couple hours, when she was after going to bed, she had woken up and she was vomiting. She was lethargic, and we took her temperature, and it was 106 degrees. My wife immediately called the pediatrician, and I immediately went and looked for another thermometer, thinking that thermometer wasn't correct. We took her temperature again, and it was 106 degrees. So I told my wife to hang up, call the ambulance immediately. I took her downstairs, laid her on the floor with nothing more than a loose T-shirt on, and I was putting cold compresses on her, trying to get her fever to break. And when the EMS arrived, they quickly checked all her vital signs and stabilized her and said yes, she needs to go to the ER because her temperature was still that high. So we went by ambulance to the ER, and when we got there, they admitted her to ER. Again, she was still vomiting at that time. Nobody could tell us what was wrong. Her fever was still high. They spent several hours. It seemed like an eternity, but probably a couple of hours going through their protocol to break the fever. Tylenol, alternating Tylenol, Motrin, Tylenol, Motrin. I watched my daughter lay there. Again, she was very lethargic. Didn't speak much, but when she did, she was hallucinating, which is, I guess it's common when you have a fever that high. But she was referring to her mother, referencing her mother in different names. And so in my heart, I knew something seriously was wrong. But again, the doctor still at this point could not tell us what was wrong. So after a couple of hours, they finally came to us and said, "We're not sure what's wrong, but we're going to admit her to the pediatric ICU." And literally, they took the hospital bed, put it on an elevator, and when we got to the floor, as we were wheeling her off, I watched my daughter go into convulsions, and she slipped into a coma right there in front of my eyes. And they had to put her on life support. Still, we're sitting there staring at my wife, staring at the doctors, and asking them what was wrong, and trying to figure out what was wrong. Still at that point, nobody could tell us remotely what was wrong. So now at this point, we're late into Saturday night, early Sunday morning, probably late Sunday morning. The doctor finally came to us and said, we know what's wrong with your daughter. She's got the flu. And he continued to talk and stuff, but as soon as he said she's got the flu, in my mind, I kind of shut off to what he was saying, more because I was in a sense of relief. I was like, okay, she's only got the flu. This happens all the time. She's going to be fine. And I think he realized that I wasn't really comprehending or listening to the rest of what he was telling me. And he said, "You don't understand what I'm telling you." He said, "Your daughter does have the flu, but the flu has attacked your daughter's brain, and she's got encephalitis, and there's nothing that we can do for her." And so, of course, I sat there in shock and disbelief. And they were ready at that point, believe it or not, they were ready pretty much to take her off life support. They were that confident that there's nothing they can do. Well, I wasn't willing to accept that. We come from I come from a strong faith-based background, so we asked the doctors if they could keep her on life support through the night, and we were going to pray that something would change, and and they did. Before I knew it, the hospital was full of community members, church members, family, and friends. They actually had to stop allowing people into the hospital, believe it or not. And we all sat there and prayed all night. And the next day, they did another battery of tests on her, and they said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing has changed." So um, it was that evening, February 3rd, that they took her off life support, and Alana passed away. Um, my life has changed forever. So that's how quickly the flu took hold of her, and that's when, essentially, when Alana's Foundation was born. I told myself that in 2003, there's no way this. I can't believe that people are dying from the flu, and I couldn't believe that Alana wasn't vaccinated from the flu. And I truly believe that if Alana was vaccinated, that she would be here today. She would at least had a fighting chance. She could have a chance. So um, I told myself I had to do something, and Alana wasn't going to die without something positive coming out. This had to be some type of purpose. So I started Alana's Foundation, and what we do is educate people about the importance of yearly flu vaccines, about how dangerous influenza is. We try to make the vaccine convenient and affordable for people. Hopefully, we reduce the vaccination rates along the way. And then later on, we added a second component to the mission was to be offer support, family support for people who lost their child.